Welcome to Oh Brother, a podcast of three brothers trying to figure it all out, with your hosts, Brandon, Collin, and Aaron. On this week's show, Emu Wars. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Oh, okay, fine. I was just like getting my mic set up, so I was like, "Oh, wait, he's talking."
Oh, sorry.
That was good. I don't like this Zoom update nonsense because it's all weird when I try to log in now. It's like it doesn't give me the right thing, and it's like, well, because I just joined from the web. I don't like have the deal or whatever because it's easier because my computer doesn't really love the little app thing that downloads. Sure. Again, 12,000-year-old laptop we're dealing with here. And so the first time I tried, it didn't give me the join and URL button that I push.
Oh,
it just wasn't there. So I like closed the tab, reopened the link from the email, and then it showed up. I was like, what?
Ta-da.
Thanks. So handy.
It is.
Yeah, I was just like setting my mic up or like pulling it over towards me because it was over there on the to my right, just off to the side. We started talking, freaked out a little bit.
Come back.
I was like in the process of pulling it over. Yeah, totally ready.
Oh man,
what's up?
Now ready.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
Oh, not so bad. Just out here at Shelby's mom's house. It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. So we're flying out tomorrow. So she's gonna drive us at like freaking early in the morning. So
yay! Everyone loves it.
I'm all excited.
Early morning
just
flights.
Out here chilling. AKA every vacation with father.
Exactly.
As discussed last episode.
True.
But yeah. But no, yeah. So it's like 8:30, but I'm still going down there relatively early.
Oh yeah, for your 75-hour check-in and your
yeah. Oh. So we're gonna we're flying into Tulsa, and then we're be landing in Charlotte, one of the Carolinas. We have a layover, but like our dates are like really far. We'll be sprinting. To gate, and they're like, "Oh, we have an hour layover." Like that's not enough time. So
I mean,
and then from there,
it's
we'll
probably
fly
enough time. You'd be fine.
Yeah.
Mobile, Alabama. But we'll be there this weekend.
So it's a wedding? Is that what you said? It's her.
Got all packed. Yes. So.
Bye, Aaron. he just got kicked off.
Was he roboting like super hard for you?
Really bad.
Okay. I was hoping that wasn't. So we could confirm that was him. All right, not us.
No, that was him. That was him.
Like I could not. I was getting ready to text you. I was like, "Is that just for me?" Or
Airman. I know you. He's back.
He's back. Yay!
What?
Aaron, you are really robot. You're really robot-y. Just FYI.
Oh, my bad. Does it sound better
now? Actually, yes.
Aha!
See how long that lasts.
Aaron wins. But yeah, so where did I leave off?
Well, to recap,
Mobile.
Yes, early morning, Tulsa, fly to Carolina unknown for 1 hour layover, which apparently is not enough time to get across an airport, and then to Mobile, Alabama.
Yes. So Shelby is a bridesmaid in her friend's wedding, and then I got invited by the bride, so therefore by law I have to go.
I mean,
and so
I've not gone to plenty of weddings that I've been invited to. Just saying. I don't think it's a law.
But it's just a nice chance to get away and go on vacation. Not ideal, but
yeah, in the middle of a global pandemic. You know what I need to do?
Pandemic vacation. They're gonna recreate. Did you see the photo of weirdly? Google News has been giving me this like Britney Spears news this week. I don't know what year it thinks it is. Apparently 2001. But there's a picture of her and her boyfriend or whatever just like laying on the beach in swimsuits and masks. So it's gonna be Aaron and Shelby recreating that image.
Well, hey. I mean, if you check things like Twitter, the Loch Ness monster was trending earlier today. So that's the weird world that we're living in currently.
It's true. I also, it's on this topic, I've gotten, for some reason, this week, my YouTube recommendations. I don't know what is going on, but I have like 75, not 75, but I had like 5 recommended videos of Caitlin Owashi. I think that's her name. She's the gymnast from UCLA that's like super bad to the bone. And I have no idea why these are. She made like a big deal last year because she scored like a perfect 10 on her floor routine. It was like bomb.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
But
back
like
in January last year.
Yeah. But I've got like 5 or 6 videos this week in my YouTube feed, like suggesting me that. I'm like, what do you. What? What about guitar videos and Dark Souls Let's Plays? Thinks that that's the video that I need in my. I don't understand.
It doesn't sound like you're really complaining, if I'm hearing this right, but it's just different.
I didn't really watch them. I was just like, what is happening?
Yeah. Well, so I've let our TV, and she watches a lot of like vlogs, but they're like the very kind of like she's not here. So like the cringeworthy vlogs that are like talking about
like how he's looking around. They're like, the word is safe. Oh, she's not here. Never mind.
But like they're kind of vlogs that talk about like the drama that's going on with different social media influencers. And it's like, and you'll never guess what blah 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 did this weekend and what they said in a tweet. And so it's a lot of those kind of videos. And so like I'll be scrolling through. It's like, oh, here's a Markiplier video. Here's a Game Grumps video, and 10 things you need to know about blah 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 social media person. Skip. No, nice. Don't need this.
There is. I have a side topic on that as well. If you would like to hear it real fast.
Sure.
So this isn't necessarily about social media influencers, but this is like this comes from the world of strongman. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Going back a few months. Eddie Hall and Hafthor Bjornsson apparently have mad beef. Right.
Yeah.
Stemming back to World's Strongest Man 2017, Eddie Hall wins. Hafthor thought he was cheated out of the Viking press.
Yes.
Okay. Because he double dipped his knees, right? You watch the thing and he's all, no, I didn't do it. Blah. Anyway, Eddie Hall wins. Right. Hafthor is mad. Hafthor, Aaron, by the way, is the giant from Game of Thrones. In case you need some.
Yeah. I was saying, okay. I was like, yeah, I know who it is.
Next year, Hafthor wins. Okay. So they've been going back and forth for years, jabbing. This year, during lockdown mode, Hafthor decides he's going to break. Well, he'd already planned to do this, obviously, because this isn't something that you can just do. He's going to break Eddie's deadlift world record. Okay. Eddie Hall had the world record deadlift, 500 kilograms. Okay. That's a stupid weight, right? It's like over 1,100 pounds, something crazy like that, right? But because the world is ending and we're in lockdown mode, Hafthor says, nah, I'm just going to break it from my home gym and live stream it.
Sure.
And this makes a lot of people kind of like, does that count though? Because it's not traditionally, even though strongman has no like actual governing body and it's just kind of like a made up, crazy thing. Traditionally, all world record attempts have been done in some sort of contest setting where there's other people who have chances to try to beat you and that kind of stuff. Right. So he says, no, I'm just going to do it at home. This makes Eddie very mad. Right. And the fact that Hafthor, his deadlift was 501 kilograms.
Yeah.
Right. That was also kind of like I'm going to beat you, but not really. So there's a lot of things because in a contest, the weights are like actually calibrated by a judge, because home gym, your weights could be off or whatever. So there's all this controversy, and then contest setting adds all this other stuff. So, to apparently now the plan is because they've got so much beef and they're both kind of mad at each other about all this history they've had. They have decided to have a boxing match. So two of the world's strongest men have now decided that the only way that they can settle their differences is to have a sanctioned boxing match next September. So they're giving themselves a whole year to train for this. These two dudes weigh over 350 pounds, man. These guys.
Just
and Hafthor is what, 6'7", something stupid like that.
Yeah.
Eddie's only like Eddie in the world of strongman. He's only like 6 foot, I don't know, 3 or 4 or something like that.
Still,
I love that.
So they've decided that they're going to have a boxing match, and like I've watched some of like Hafthor stuff. And he's all like, yeah, Iceland guy, big Iceland accent. He's like, yeah, I'm going to win. Eddie's little punk, blah, blah. Eddie is like taking this so seriously. It's almost terrifying, right? He's like, no, I fought before. I grew up in this rough neighborhood in England.
Yeah.
I know how to kick people. like, oh my gosh, what's happening?
This is going to be who's going to be able to ref that and pull those two guys apart?
That is the second question. Who refs this match? Does it have to be another one of the world's strongest men to like pull them off there?
Has to be
attached.
Is it Brian Shaw? Is he going to jump in there and like?
Yeah, it's like you're going to have to, I don't know, or just attach them both to cranes to keep pulling back whenever they start going.
Yeah,
too much.
right.
Like it's
like. So I've been watching some. This is where this ties in. I've been watching some of Eddie's vlog because he has a YouTube channel, right? And Hafthor does too. Hafthor's been doing a lot of like gaming on Twitch, which doesn't really sound like preparing for a boxing match, but he's probably doing some other stuff. But Eddie's all like, "Yo, here's my supplements and here's my stuff, and I can't hire a trainer right now because I can't leave my house. But here's my workout." And like, okay, he's all like, "I'm gonna try to slim down." You're like, "Dude, you weigh 360 pounds. What's happening right now? I don't understand."
Right.
What is slim down?
You can only make a barge so swift. Right. You can only get so much.
I mean, he does talk a lot about trying to do the cardio so he doesn't gas himself out. So this is good. This is a good plan.
That's what he needs.
Right. But yeah, this is what you need, because otherwise that's gonna be really embarrassing, right? Just two big dudes to be like, like that's not good. No one's gonna watch that. Like,
jeez.
So this is supposedly going to be settled September 2021. It's the most ridiculous thing, but like also weirdly like intriguing, but also like what the heck's going? Why? What in the world are you doing?
Seriously, guys.
You're like, seriously, this is it. This is what you get. Whatever. I don't get.
I love it.
So eyes on that ongoing drama. There's some strongman drama for you.
I love it.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
That would be interesting. It's really funny to listen to people talk about it. So
there's some sports podcasts and sports things I listen to. I wonder if they'll be talking about that coming up because I haven't heard it. I have not heard that before, and I am most excited. Definitely.
Yeah, they still got a year of training, but I imagine closer to it, it's going to be a big news story. So it's going to be because I mean that's World's Strongest Man 2016, World's Strongest Man 2017 in a boxing match. So be prepared for the World's Strongest Boxing Match. I guarantee you it's going to be called that World's Strongest Boxing Match. That's going to be in there somewhere. It's going to be in the.
Because I thought Thor won it more than once, but I guess you just like.
I'm not sure if he did. I just know
I watched, and I was like, that one.
Yeah, I don't know how many times he's won. I know he's won one for sure.
Yeah,
but I don't know about that. I don't know about any other ones. I know 17. It was the next year after Eddie won. And there was this whole thing like Eddie was like trying to shake his hand and he wouldn't do it. So it's like, oh my God. What is this? Nonsense.
What is this magic?
It's madness is what it is. But yeah, so there you go. Keep that on your radar as going forward.
Putting it on my calendar right now.
There you go.
With a few reminders.
The only thing that I had on my calendar was this vacation, and then on July 3rd, the Broadway play Hamilton will be streaming on Disney Hulu. So that's the only thing other than that, I got a clear schedule, so we should be fine.
Oh, nice.
All right.
The only thing on my schedule is summer school is over on Friday, so I'm done. I'm out.
Woot.
That's all I got. So clear skies of hiding. And that's it. I have nothing for July. Nothing. Ha ha ha. Except for Shayna is packing up, getting ready to move out.
Yeah. When does school start for her?
I'm not entirely sure. I think that middle of August still. They're still planning on opening on time for in-person classes as of right now. So
is she going to live on campus?
No, she's going to get an apartment. Apparently, there's only the only campus housing there is for student athletes.
Oh. Yeah, I couldn't remember if they what it was.
So it would have been nice if she
started looking in for apartments.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Does she have one?
Not yet. But she's been looking for them.
There's not a whole lot in town.
I mean, that's kind of what I told her. So, like,
so she needs to be prepared to drive.
Yeah.
From like, I know a lot of people come in. Like, seriously, the 4 points of Marshall, Knob Noster, and Warsaw, and then not really anything out to the east, but yeah. So
yeah,
Kansas City.
So they've been looking online and stuff, and so
good.
We'll see. They're supposed to go up there in a couple weeks or something. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
To do some checking about stuff. So
good.
We'll see. So yeah, that's the kind of weird things. Like they were kind of like, oh, we don't know, and then there's that. Now she's got to find a job up there too. So she's kind of freaking out about that thing. So
okay,
we'll see. Yeah, it's something. It's very stressful. So
yeah. I don't know. Let me know what I need to keep an eye out for, and I can, because random places post signs all the time. So
yeah. Well, right now she's working as a server, right? Okay. So she's doing that down here. So that's her most experiences in waiting and customer service.
Okay.
So she is the second place national FBLA customer service champion. So right, well, like second place in FBLA Nationals customer service. So
haha. She is the customer service person.
Yes. So she's all about that. So it's kind of what she's been doing. So it's where she's right now working. So we'll see.
Cool.
But that stressful time is upon us.
Yeah, that's not fun.
Yeah, it's a lot to do. So we'll see how it goes and go from there, I guess. So I don't know.
Does anyone ever remember that first, experience of, apartment shopping? Like just that, not kind of what what Shane has gone through, but just that, like, oh man, now I'm starting out into the world now, and look for a place. Do you guys remember that any or?
Yeah, mine is here's the condensed version of my story. After college, I was living in a house with some other people, right? There was 3 of us in there. And then the guy who was renting the house, he all of a sudden went, "Yeah, I'm moving. So you got to be out of the house by 2 weeks." And I was like, what?
Sorry, come again?
So we had to move out record speed, right? And I just basically it was one of those how about this place? Yep, okay, got it. So it wasn't really a hunting. I didn't really have time to look about,
Yeah.
That's that other apartment I used to live in over there in town. That was it. I found that because Susan had already moved up there and she was living there. And then she was like, "Hey, I'll ask the guy if there's another one you can have." And I was like, "Okay, boom." Got it, moved in. That was it. But I was homeless for 2 days because I didn't have any place to go. And I had to move the last of my stuff out in the dark because he turned the stinking power off. The heck? So,
oh my gosh,
that was fun. It was very stressful, but it wasn't bad. It was just the time frame was very condensed and not exciting.
Yeah, not exciting at all.
So
I can't imagine.
So I was a rapid mode of oh, dang it. Now I have to go sign this paper. And now I have to go to find the city hall and pay all this stuff and do all that nonsense. So luckily I was already working and I had a job and I was doing stuff. So it wasn't really a big deal, but I was working at a factory. So I was making pretty decent money, but all of a sudden, oh snap, here we go. I was dang it.
Oh no.
That was mine. It was very dramatic.
Yeah. Mine was my first apartment was when Megan and I got married. So I had rented a house with Kyle and Kevin in college. But that was more because their parents were renting it for us.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So that was a little different. Didn't have a whole lot of say in that of where that was going to go or what it was going to be. So that was a little different. And then when Megan and I got married, we moved to Texas, and we did all of our search and paperwork and everything online, which was not fun. I didn't like that at all. Because you just have to base it off by your pictures online.
That's true.
Which are never actually what it looks like.
No, definitely not.
Because they typically keep one really, really nice, and that's what they take all the pictures of.
Yeah.
So that was different. And then kind of the same thing happened when we moved from Lubbock to Dallas, to Arlington, DFW area, because we did all that remotely to try and find one down there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was interesting because it was a lot of okay, what are the steps that I need to take to make this process work? Who do I need to, how much does the apartment complex handle for me versus how much do I need to? And our first apartment complex was nice because it included Wi-Fi and some utilities were included. in your price. Like, but they handled all of that billing, so you just got one bill because they broke out the apartment stuff, and it was basically, I guess, allocated where they just took the apartment's total and divided it by number of occupancy, basically.
Oh, that's weird.
And then you got that. So everyone was paying the bill, not each individual's bill. So it's a little different.
Huh. That's a little different, yeah.
But it was nice because it took a lot. It was our first one, and I didn't know what I was doing. So it kind of made it nice, I guess. You just got one bill from one person. And then when we moved into the other one in Arlington, it was all broken out and had to figure out, who's your electrical utility person going to be? And I was like, aren't they all from that really broke my brain. Was like, aren't they all coming through the same wires? Like, what do you mean? But nope, there were like 20 different electrical providers in the DFW area.
That's messed up, man.
It is.
That's what I do like about like Monets. It's just like you set it up. Like, so I have my apartment rent, but everything else is through the city. Everything, water, sewer, electric, trash.
Really?
It's just the city does it.
Oh,
boom. Yeah. So there's one utility bill for everything. So that's super handy.
Yeah.
Right. Because I don't have to worry about, I don't have to pay the trash person in this neighborhood and the water is this thing. No, it's all just the city does everything.
So we do that now where the city does gas. Nope. Sorry. City does water, sewer, trash. And but we still had to quote unquote find our electric provider. There's only one. And then we had to quote unquote find our gas provider. There's only one. That was really
but like
And then our internet was we had two options.
We have that one. That one's a fiasco around here. There's not lots of good options for internet.
Yeah, I cannot stand internet options. They are all suck. They're all terrible.
They are terrible. They're the worst.
It really, there's not one good unless you have someone with like true gigabit Ethernet. Then then it's a little more palatable. But it's like, you want me to how much?
It's pretty bad. I know Southernberry County, like Cassville, they just did, I don't know, a couple years ago, they ran fiber optic through like everything. And so my friend that lives down there, their internet's like super good. Right. And so and because they live like right outside town, but her husband is like a lawyer, so they got him to, get out that way and kind of just, we should take that street too. Like kind of got him. Yeah. So that'd be nice if they expanded that, because that's some pretty good stuff, I guess. But up here in the northern part of the county, we got nothing. Yeah. Right. You got some.
No bueno.
So
and here, I don't know. I think what just galls me about it is that how it's only symmetrical on the really, really high end networks. As far as you get 400 down, but 10 up. I'm like, what?
Yes.
No. Why? Why? What is that about? Like,
exactly.
Most people are downloading and streaming and stuff. Like, no, I upload so much stuff.
Lots of people upload lots of stuff, like their pictures and all that stuff, and it just takes them 1,000 years because you can do it. And then my favorite part is the fact that they always have like 18 tiers of internet. Like, well, you could get this speed or this other speed for way more money. Like, but why don't you just let people have fast speed? Like, why would you even bother? Nobody wants mega slow internet. What are you doing?
Well, and I know, and that's where that idea that people start coming in as far as treating it as an actual utility.
Yeah.
Wait. Hey, Aaron.
I'm back.
Aaron left us for a
moment.
I know. I saw him drop out.
Okay.
Siri.
We were vamping. It's fine.
Yeah.
Siri.
Yeah. No. Where the people trying to regulate it like not just a utility, but what is that? What is that where they try to treat it like basically a necessity, where it's just like water, like everybody gets the same water kind of thing. I guess unless you're Flint, but you just get
Sorry, guys.
I'm real sorry.
Yeah, I know. It's like that's the hard thing, right? Because you're like, the question that you kind of have to deal with currently is like, well, do you need internet?
Yep.
And I think, do you need internet access? And I think the answer to that question is increasingly becoming yes. Actually, you kind of do. And so but it's also hard because it's also traditionally been treated like a television service, right?
Yep.
Pick the one you want. Yeah, like a luxury. You don't need TV, right? It's just a luxury item. Like in my old apartment when I lived there, I didn't have TV for years because number one, I wasn't home ever. So why? But like, I didn't have it. Susan had it, and I spent all my time with her, so I didn't need it, right? Got him. But it's not a necessity. Question mark. I mean, you could argue. I mean, that was the benefit of like the old analog signal television, was everyone had access to something because they need news and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's the free TV stations. So you can say, well, everyone does have access to some kind of television for news and weather and that kind of stuff that you need to know about. But yeah, the question that we are grappling with is, do you need internet?
Yeah.
And I think yes. I think the answer is definitely becoming yes. It needs to be reliable. It needs to be good because, I mean, you have to be able to rely on it, right? And it needs to be decent. We're not talking like crazy. Although Elon's launching those Starlink satellites next week. So, hey, maybe we'll get some. Launching some more of those bad boys. So, who knows how much that internet will cost? Yo, man.
Yeah. That'll be
crazy
fun.
Space internet. But yeah, it's an interesting question. Just like, do you need it? And then how do you access it?
Right.
How do you regulate it? Do you regulate it? Does it matter?
Yeah. You know the drill. Head on over to obrotherpodcast.com. Follow us on all the social media platforms at obrotherpodcast to stay up to date with everything that we've got going on. Show notes, extra links, all sorts of good stuff. Well, and especially as ways of consumption are drastically changing, as more and more people are being pulled away from their TVs to look at a tablet or a mobile device or another mobile device.
Yeah.
And I know several people who don't have home internet because they just basically do everything on their phone.
Yeah.
That's all they need. Which makes total sense. And with 5G, that kind of mentality is going to get a lot more ubiquitous, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Because it'll just be that much more reliable and fast. And, so you will question, well, do I need that house and this?
I mean, yeah, I'd love to not have to pay for home internet. I'm already paying a literal butt ton for cell phone and data.
No, that's true. Yo,
it's like, that's real bad. Can't I get some spillover here? Can't please.
Yeah, that's true.
But the amount of data, I guess I'm not. It's not really there yet. Just looking at like the amount of data usage on cell phones on our cell phone bill versus our home Wi-Fi, like we use a lot of data all the time. I don't understand where it all goes, right? Like it's.
Yeah, it gets eaten up in just weird spots. So Yeah, that's a tricky one that I don't think we're necessarily caught up with trying to figure out because, we are just treating it as a business still. Like, oh, buy the one you want. And it's nice to have options. Don't get me wrong. Because some people don't need it, but having the ability to access it, even if you don't necessarily use it, is still not bad. Right? Because you still could have it if you needed it. So that's the tricky part. And then plus you get those really hard questions like, well, is it regulated? Because, like the European Union's doing all that crazy regulation stuff with their internet versus, the US where it's all privatized companies and literally they don't care what you put on there as long as you pay for the ads. Don't care at all. You could just write the most hateful, racist things ever. And Facebook's like, it's fine. Don't worry about it. No. And then
but they're not a publishing platform. Remember, they're not.
Right. Yeah, I think that's just them lying so they don't get in trouble because that's not.
That's not how most people view it, but
yeah,
they're still regulated.
Yes. And then the other extreme versus, China, which is like, this is the only part of the internet you're allowed to see. Right?
Oh, yeah.
This other internet doesn't exist. It's not there. Or the actual extreme North Korean internet. Holy cow, what the heck? Like, here's the 5 websites that exist.
Welcome.
That you can get on. Have you ever been on a North Korean internet site?
Have you?
Can't say I have.
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
Dude, it's so trippy.
Brandon.
Right? It's the trippiest thing ever.
You can get on there somewhere.
You can get on there. It's fine. Yeah. Hello, NSA agent. How are you?
Hi, Tom.
I'm doing well. Hope you're staying safe. Hope your family's well.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you get on there, you can get on the North Korean internet. It all looks an awful lot like 1998 internet. Right? It's like text heavy, like really bad Java, old JavaScript internet. Right? So it looks like. And there's like, I saw one time. It was like it's like recipes, right? Recommended from the dear leader. Oh, dear leader's favorite XYZ, whatever it was, right? And it's like, oh, this is great. This is like the cooking thing and like some weird thing. Like, it's bizarre, but it's definitely there. But those are the only websites that they can go to, right? That's it. That's the only internet that exists for them. Is this handful of websites specifically curated to North Koreans to keep their masquerade going? That So that's the hardcore
fine.
extreme. Yeah. So everything's fine. It's great. Look how lovely it is here in North Korea. What? No slaves being sold to China. Definitely not. None of that's happening. So
that's
anyway. Sorry it got dark there, but that's the questions. Like, if you have access to it, is it, how do you regulate it? Do you regulate it? Is it necessary? I would lean much more towards the no, because it's like a open platform for stuff. You should have access to all the things. But I don't know. Tricky questions. Sorry, dragged down a weird rabbit hole. Didn't mean to end up there.
You mentioned Britney Spears in 2001.
I did, yes.
Something else that came back from 2001 today was Collin's coordination.
Fall down?
I was sitting on the couch about 1:00 and I went, I haven't been on a bike ride in a while. I need to get that oiled and I actually need to get a new water bottle. I'm going to go out for a quick run. And so I got everything ready. I got my phone charged. And I started jogging down the lane and I got about 100 yards away from the house and my ankle rolled.
Oh no.
Bad. Bad. I mean, I heard a pop, like a loud audible pop. And I went down. I just went whoop into shoulder into the grass, luckily. From the sidewalk. And my and I was literally 100 yards away. There were tree trimmers down the road, staring at me as I laid on my back, clutching my leg. There were people having a nice picnic by the park, and then many people driving past me constantly. No one stopped, which is fine. I didn't need that because I was so close to home, thankfully. And so I managed to get back home, and by the time I got home, my ankle was swollen probably 2 to 3 times the normal size of a normal ankle. And
good grief.
It was bad. It still is bad. Oh,
this is yeah, that's pretty nasty. Were you on the grass or the sidewalk?
I was on the sidewalk, but when I rolled, my left ankle is what gave way. And so when I rolled, I had enough momentum that I just went to the left. I didn't go straight down.
Yeah.
I just rolled and I was able
with it.
Yeah. Yep.
Did you like step on the edge of the sidewalk, or did you
Nope,
was the sidewalk? Is your sidewalk one of those beautiful Missouri sidewalks that are like, people don't use these, and they're just like an uneven disaster with like tree roots, and one panel of sidewalk is 4 inches height difference from the other one?
There is right in front, so our sidewalk right in front of our house is brand new within the past 6 years.
Or they're at a jaunty angle, right?
The sidewalk in front of the house on our west is so bad, I don't think you could take an off-roader across it. There's no way.
Wow.
But I mean, it is like jagged edges, like really cool, like geological uplift and sort of like induction zones going on through this with like 8-inch differences in height, and some are, it's really awesome. So anyway, no. This was on a nice, flat, paved, even, no debris, nothing. My ankle was just wee.
Because I almost did that today too, but I was running through the grass, and so my one of my steps was a lot lower than I thought it was going to be. Right, I did that thing where you kind of go, "Ugh," and your knee kind of goes straight, and you smack it real hard, and you go, "Oh, that wasn't what I wanted." Okay, let's go down.
Yeah, so I've had it elevated and iced pretty much ever since, and
that's a good deal.
It is not really helping. So
it will, but it takes forever.
It's one of those things.
Because I've done that too. I've busted mine like that, and it's swelled up to like softball size ankle.
Yeah,
so it's
real.
Mine's my left ankle too. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. Matching twinsies.
Twins.
I would like to say, I find it odd that you went, I haven't ridden my bike for a while. I shall go for a jog. Like, wait a minute.
I know my bike, like, it needs some maintenance, and I didn't just want to jump on it without oiling. So I was like, that's a lot, and I need to do some tuning up on the derailleur. So let me just do this because my shoes are right back there, and I'm just gonna go for a quick 1 mile jaunt around our park. Like, it's a nice 1 mile just rectangle, effectively.
Okay.
I was just gonna do that. Just go out real quick, 30 minutes, and get done. No bueno.
No.
It was bad. Megan was like, "You were only gone for 15 minutes," and I was like, "Yeah." And 12 minutes of that was hauling my butt back to the house. Like, it's just
12 minutes. I was laying on the ground in agony. That's what I was doing.
Is what happened effectively. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
I didn't even get to the good part of the song that I was looking forward to. Like, I mean,
you didn't have time to start the song, I imagine. No. Go through the playlist. Here's this one. Blah. Oh no.
Oh man.
Goodness. Well,
yeah.
Hopefully it'll be better we'll see. Here's updated tomorrow. See how it's doing there.
Yeah. Fortunately, I do not have a really big gravel mining site visit in Benton County tomorrow that I have to go on.
Well, your boots will maybe hold your ankle together.
This thing. Yeah, I did a little test tonight where I ace bandaged it, put on a sock, and then shoved it in my boot. And I was like, okay.
And you rolled the other one.
Yeah, exactly. He fell over because it was so bad.
Because I have 100% done that with my football cleats. Like I was in the locker room and I stood up. This was when they built the new facility, and I was like, my cleats can work on concrete. Roll. It's like, no, it's fine. I'll put the other one on, and then took 2 steps and rolled the other one. I was like, well, I'm not playing tonight. This is fun.
No, but tomorrow his right knee will definitely hurt from compensating for walking on that bad ankle.
Oh man, yeah,
that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's going to be. Yeah. Not looking forward to this.
Yeah, the bandage in the boot will help keep it stabilized at least, so you can.
Yeah.
Do you have thick socks? Do you have thick socks to wear?
About.
I do.
Do you have a walking cane, a walking stick?
I should get one.
It's true. My mother-in-law could steal you one. It's fine.
Or you're going to steal one from your mother-in-law. Wait a minute.
No, I tease her about this like for it's happened like years ago. I still tease her about it. She was at Walmart and she like went to the bathroom and like parked her cart by the bathroom, and then she came out and she just grabbed a cart and walked off. She grabbed some other lady's cart. And so they called over the intercom. Then later they called, would the person who took the cart with the cane by the bathroom please bring it back to customer service? And she was going, man, that's terrible. Who would do that? I can't believe someone would take somebody's cart with somebody's cane in it. And her husband, who was still at the live at the time, was like, why do you have a cane in your cart?
Right.
Oh no. This sudden realization, oh my gosh, it's me. She took it back. I've been calling her a cane thief for years. Wonderful. I like but she might have an extra one for you.
You should ask her, please.
True. Or hear me out. Just get a big stick and wander around Gandalf style, right? Like, yes.
What I'm thinking.
Like,
well, because no one's gonna detest that. They'll just think like, oh wow, that's that crazy, wilderness person that works for the state conservation. And be like, wow, he's wise beyond his years.
He's an expert. He's an expert hog tracker. Look at him. Majestically walking.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. It's like, oh, Collin, you don't have to track hoggies no more because you can't walk. Just milk it for all it's worth, Collin.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No, I can't chase hogs. My ankle hurts.
Seriously.
Yo, Aaron, he's gonna actually be stuck in a holler somewhere, like broken ankle, like help.
100%. I can't even.
Just laying at the bottom of a ravine. No.
They sent out a call for more people. There's like 60 trapping spots that they still need filled.
Oh my gosh.
I'm telling you, it is bad. Like it is. Because they started in the. Gosh, they started last winter. They started in the winter. They moved into the spring. Now they're in the summer.
Last winter, also known as 12 years ago.
12 years ago, the before times. It was BC.
In the before times.
Yeah, they started BC and
before quarantine.
Like,
BQ.
Yeah, no, before COVID, right? That's and now it's just. I was looking at their calendar and I was just going, "There's like this is going to burn out so fast." So I told Megan, I said, be prepared for me in the next couple weeks to get tapped to go. Cause I'm looking at this going, they're going to start really, really fine combing through their records and be like,
be able to hide forever.
Mister, please sign up right now.
No, they're not going to ask you to sign up. They're like, "Oh, look, you've been signed up." That's what's going to happen.
They're going to be voluntold.
Exactly, voluntold. That's what's going to happen.
Just hire a bunch of people from Texas and their helicopters to come fly through Missouri and just shoot what they can.
Yes, because that wonderful tree cover just allows for low flight. Wait,
trees don't exist.
Oh God!
Oh, did I tell you?
Conspiracy. What?
Oh no, So this was on Fort Leonard Wood. Did I tell you what they did? What happened on Fort Leonard Wood?
I mean, I can only imagine the lunacy that happened at Fort Leonard Wood.
Yeah. So he they were doing not MDC, but the military was trapping hogs because they manage that stuff. And
oh God.
They ran the hogs as they run into
hold on, for listeners unfamiliar, Fort Leonard Wood is the home of the Missouri National Guard. That is the base headquarters of all Missouri National Guard activity is Fort Leonard Wood. All right, continue, please.
Yeah. So they ran into a cedar grove, and they were flying helicopters in the area, but you can't see in a cedar grove is really thick. No. So they just lit the cedar grove on fire and surrounded it. It just waited. And I don't know if you know this or not, but a vast majority of pigs will just lay down and be burnt.
Yeah. And cedar just
kind of
burns boom.
Yes, hot and fast. So I was like, oh, that's not standard operating procedure for us, is it?
This whole kind of thing, for some reason, is reminding me of the 1930s Emu War in Australia. Yeah. So after,
I'm sorry.
So in the 1930s,
if that's not the episode, okay, that's title.
Title found. There you go.
1930s Emu War.
Sounds
true.
So in Australia in the 1930s, emus were in such high population that they were just migrating in the north to the west part of Australia, destroying farms. And so, because there's a big settlement thing after the First World War, where they gave soldiers a bunch of farmland. They're like, all right, good job. Here's some farmland for you. And so,
I'm sorry for all of our Australian listeners.
You're welcome. And so, emus were just in such high population, and someone's like, well, we need the government, or we need the military out there. And so it was 5 guys, a truck, and 2 machine guns. And I remember seeing a whole documentary of it, and I remember the announcer saying, and on the first day, the emus eluded the soldiers by them not firing a single shot. But on the second day, they unloaded 5,000 rounds into emus and only killed 50. It's how many emus are there? But it was just it was just a problem where they were out there for a summer, and then they just kind of said, well, we can't do anything else, and then just left.
So the emus won. Think about that.
Basically. And so I just remember seeing pictures of these guys, 5 dudes went out to a field, and they set up guns, and then they said, hey, what if we take a truck and put a machine gun on it and chase after emus? And this is the whole time Collin was talking about this, this reminds me of something. It was
yes.
Emu War 1932. This would be a great idea.
Please, I just pulled it up. Please, anybody who's listening, please just pull up the Emu War Wikipedia page, because it's absolutely hysterical.
It'll be in the show notes. Which you can find by going to obrotherpodcast.com or in the podcast app that you're listening to right now.
Boom.
Oh, the Great Emu War. I'm sorry.
Oh, yes, it's beautiful. So yes, that is you're right. That has been nagging me. That does sound like something I've heard before, but I could not for the life of me figure out what in the earth this was.
Yeah,
and it's the Emu Wars.
So I also remember watching YouTube videos and people drawing, over dramatic pictures of it to make it like a full documentary of this, what they used to do with the Civil War documentaries. Yeah. It's and in late 1932, over 12 million emus marched across the west. Like, oh wow, this is really this actually happened. Oh no. So this is what I imagine Collin having to do with hogs is another great emu war.
Yes.
Pretty much. Only without as many firearms.
For now.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh man, it's gonna be bad news. So you waited too long too. It's gonna be like extra mega hot. Be like end of August.
August, yeah.
It's like,
did you have a ship out date, Collin? Did they actually
ship out?
Do you have a time, or is it just like you're still just kind of like waiting and
he hasn't been drafted yet.
I'm waiting for my deployment details. Yeah.
Gotcha.
My papers. Well, because they start off by saying, here's all the slots that need to be filled. Fill them. And then, of course, I delete that email immediately. And then they send out another email saying, here are the remaining slots. We need these filled by next Friday. And I delete that one. And then they say, these need to be filled by tomorrow. And I delete that one. And I just kind of wait for somebody to send me an email saying, Collin, here's where you're going to be doing this. Because I'm not gonna play that game. I'm not gonna And then I'm gonna say, well,
yeah, but if you don't play that game long enough, what's gonna happen is you're going to go to the bootheel. That's what's going to happen.
You know, I've never really spent any appreciable time down there, so I don't know.
Is that how you want to spend your time in the swamp? It's looking for hogs and swamp, lowland bottoms, and
you're gonna hunt them. Might as well hunt them in a swamp. It'd be cool.
True. I suppose if, however, if you were in the bootheel, you could be serving a twofold purpose, right? You could be, like official business for hog tracking, but like clandestinely, it's actually an ivory-billed woodpecker tracking mission. Boom.
See?
Oh, there we go. There we go.
on my free time.
Yeah.
Excuse me, guys.
No,
I
just
go
be like
this way.
No, just spend all your time looking up instead of down.
Yeah.
Did you see any hogs? No, I nothing. I just
single thing.
But I was listening for the double knock. I
It was like I was reading, some of my old, history textbooks, and I can't remember like what event it was, but there was some isolated company in like some country, and they're like, oh, they have 100% success rate whenever they go on patrols, but then when the military actually did investigations on this company, it's like, how are you guys being so successful? But they would just like go to the next town and like go see movies and like do all this other stuff, and then just like report that they saw and did all these things. Like, oh yeah, so Collin, that's what you need to do.
Budget paperwork.
I corralled 30 hog, but they eluded me.
They got away.
Got away.
I think ivory bill hunt is the best, right? Ivory bill woodpecker.
Tell me going on a snipe hunt.
No, ivory bill woodpecker. This is one of the closest. Is it still alive? Animals on the extinct list, right? So it's been declared extinct, but is it, right? It's one of those things. It was definitely habitat loss through logging in the late 1800s because it lives in like lowland, like hardwood bottom forest, right, and swamps and stuff. I definitely think I said those words out of order, but it's fine.
Some words.
And but so habitat loss killed this thing. The last real good recordings and stuff they have is like 30, 40, something like that. Maybe it. University got some pictures and stuff, but after that, it's been just kind of gone. Nobody's actually seen this thing.
Wait
except for the famous video from Arkansas.
Yeah, in 2004.
2004, this guy is just paddling through a swamp. He's got his camera on his lap, and then boom, this bird just flies right in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely appears to be an ivory-billed woodpecker.
Right? Yeah, no, I think it's been since validated to basically be an ivory-billed. Yeah, I think
in the video,
yeah.
So yeah, almost certain at this point that it's ivory-billed woodpecker, but like nobody's seen like more of them.
Yeah,
right. Correct me if I'm wrong here.
No, you're right. You're right. Since then, they haven't seen anything else.
Yeah, no sites. They maybe some support, like alleged like calls and stuff, but like not a lot of like no sightings. So these things have like enormous ranges, and they mate for really long term stuff, and they kind of stay in the same area forever. But their range is enormous, so they don't really overlap too much. So they're very spread out. But finding them is very difficult. But allegedly, could still be ivory-billed woodpeckers in the swamps of Arkansas and possibly the Bootheel, Missouri. So,
Missouri.
Collin.
Okay.
Colin's going to go search for them.
Got it. Done. Consider it done.
I love it.
Excuse me. So other than icing, you got anything else exciting happening other than your gravel quarry visit?
No. Oh, more fun from I mean, more rants from the department. I mean, if people want.
This is
which everyone loves.
Indeed.
So, we are going through. I know I've talked about it before. A massive reorganization of the department. It's been fraught with terrible decisions and bad leadership and poor communication and misunderstanding.
In Missouri? What?
And clueless people and no direction and no vision and all this stuff. But we are barreling headlong into it. July 1st, we will officially be in the new structure. And we're recording this June 24th. So we have to submit basically hours, even though we're salaried. We still have to account for our hours for lots of reasons. But anyway, we submit them on the 15th and the end of every month. Submit, twice a month we have to submit hours. Well, on June 11th? No, it's June 13th. They were like, by the way, all of the codes that you have been using and that the department has been using for the past 15 years are no longer in the system. Here is a list of over 300 new ones.
What?
But the system cannot input them yet. So you can't actually input your time. We hope you will be able to put your time by the 1st of July. So just write down all of your hours on a piece of paper until then.
What?
I'm going, did they not know? Did they have what? They
forgot.
That's what forgot. It was what they happened. And then there was a frantic email of going, don't. Like many people like left on vacation or do all this stuff, and so they submit their hours early. Well, all those have to get returned,
resubmitted.
And it's all
That's
invalid.
Ridiculous.
And so I again am not writing things down on paper of hours like my codes. I write down my daily logs of what I do, what tasks I got accomplished, and I will just go back and resubmit my time whenever they tell me to do it. And it's all just going to be like, It's very weird.
That's a very odd. Well, first of all, that's a very odd system to implement anyway for a salaried employee, right? Like, why?
Well, so
part of the reason is like we're paying you this much money and no overtime ever. That's one of the reasons why.
Well,
like,
I mean, they don't mind overtime, but I think the big thing is that they have to track a lot for reimbursements, like federal reimbursements.
Well, that's true, I guess.
If you work on certain projects at certain times, and they can apply for grants based off work, and they budget. They've redone the budget, so now it's more important than ever in that we have to account for staff time.
For
goal or objective
budget
or
item,
whatever. For strategic plan.
Okay, well, that makes sense. I guess.
So that's how they have to justify what they put in their budgets. It's a pain, and I don't like it at all.
Oh yeah,
so I get that. I get that, but it's like this. It's such a big system. It's such a keystone of the entire department. And they were like, "No, don't submit anything this week. You'll get more directions." And then it was like, "Yeah, maybe the 1st of July or a little bit after that, whenever you'll get something." And I was like, "How?
Grief.
How did this happen?"
So weird.
Oh my gosh! And they're working on their ridiculous values statement for the department, and I'm going, "What? Why? It reeks of corporate structure, right? It just reeks of, well, we have to have a statement that defines our values and what and we have to, like, I get a mission statement, totally get it, but they have a whole values team to figure out what the values of their personnel are and how they can match them and all that stuff. And I'm going, what does that? I get it. Like, some people think that's important. I don't think that really helps me get my job done, though.
It doesn't. Our last superintendent was way into that stuff. Right. He was all about it. And like, we'd talk about it all the time. We had those dumb staff meetings. We'd like write on paper the important values about, like, I have things to do. Like, you want my like pacing guide and all that stuff. Can I go do that? Yeah. This is not helpful. Like, I don't care about that.
Right. And the last all staff meeting, they had everybody submit what they valued. And I knew as I was writing this down on a piece of paper, they were going to do a stupid word cloud at the end of this.
And I hate word cloud so much. No.
They're gonna go, we value these things too. And you know what it was? Guess what? I also guessed the two biggest words. The biggest word of them all was family.
Of course.
Course. And of course, they take that to mean that we are all family here in the department. Mm-hmm. And I just going to say, anytime an employer starts talking about being part of a family, you know you are in a very toxic work environment and you don't want to be there, right? Because in no other family is it structured between an employer and an employee. That's not family. That's a job. I'm sorry. Period. End of story.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like, those are such twisted, toxic expectations to place on people. Because what does it do? It means, oh, you, the employee, sacrifice everything for your family. You don't get anything back.
Your boss.
Right? Me. Yeah, I'm your family. We're your family. We're not but you are ours, right? It's just so bad. And I was so angry. I was just really, really frustrated with that. It really burned me to see them go, and yeah, we're family too. We value family. And I was like, no, my family. I don't value my relationship with any of y'all to that extent, right? like, don't take this the wrong way, but no.
So do you guys remember a few months ago when I was going through that core training stuff and how completely miserable I was?
You mean the longest drives in the history of the planet? Yes.
Yeah. So they had this thing called connections where all of the big wigs from DHS come and talk to you, people that from the the big administration thing, and they come and the first thing, number one, I've been training all week. I don't like people in general. So being in a crowded assembly room or gathering hall of any kind just automatically annoys me. And then having people that are like, I'm going to make a difference. And I've been dreaming about this for years. I'm like, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. And then the president of DHS comes in and was like, I was in the business sector for blah, blah, blah years. I'm like, oh, cool. This is exactly what we need. And yeah, they went back and they talked about, the values and cores and our beliefs of DHS, and got a standing ovation. I was trying not to. I got the loudest groan of just and then everyone on my table agreed because we've all been through core, kind of what Colin was talking about. I get freaking emails daily of please take this work survey. I get two. There's two different kinds of them, and it alternates each day. One of them is please tell us what you're doing, so that way you know that you're working. Blah blah blah, and it's like, oh, I'm doing this on this date. Blah, send, boom, done.
Aaron just says definitely not Breath of the Wild. Sorry, that's what Aaron says right there. It's like,
hey, shut up with your facts. But the other one is it's like, tell us how you're doing. Tell us how you feel. What are some of the strengths that you think DHS has? Do you feel valued as a worker? Do you feel that you have a strong voice in your in your team? And I like it's like, between excellent to poor, and I choose poor on every single one of them. And I write a lengthy thing at the end of it. It's just like, look, I am working from my home. It is a Tuesday afternoon. I am talking to 12 different people over the phone right now. I don't have time for this. Hit submit. And so I'm just waiting for a call from, administration. And then I get like a weekly email from the director, and it's like, hey, everyone, I was having a rough week last week, and then I read blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I don't care. Why?
I hate those so much.
Because
those are our principal sins, those too.
When this first started, I had to email my supervisor daily of everything that I did, from what time I got up to who I called at what time, how much I typed, and like I had to do that daily. Turns out I was like the only one doing that, and I was like, well, this is crap. I'm not going to do this anymore. And then they actually got the system fixed, and then they started to, and what I kind of talked about last time, the state of Oklahoma has lost so much money that they're closing offices, and they conveniently forgot Osage County, which we got a nice little email. It's like, oh, hey, by the way, we're closing our office, but didn't get a close date. And so I'm kind of waiting around for my office to close, but they got about us. And so we're just kind of in a limbo state again. But like all these other offices are closed and all these other offices are open. And I was like, can I go to my office or not? Like, our district supervisor in the game 20 years, like, when it's gotten a lot better because I'm more on a routine, but they stopped doing overtime because they can't pay anybody. You can't file more to my office to get a van when it takes me just an hour. So they say you have to take your own car, but we're not going to pay you for it. And so, like, they're not doing overtime, which I have to fight with my timesheet lady on every single time I submit it. To go, well, we're not doing time thing. Like, well, this was submitted on this date. Get it to me now. And it's just a cluster. I'm tired, and I want to play Breath of the Wild. That's all I want to do. But for those of you who are listening, I actually am really good at my job. Just if I can just deal with one or the other, I would much rather deal with clients than administration. That's how terrible the state of Oklahoma is. And put it in writing, and then I found out, like, well, who's making all these other decisions? And it's like, oh, it's our governor. I'm like, oh, Governor Stitt. Cool. That's not helping anything. Aaron's rant is over. Sorry.
We can talk about useless governors another time because ours is useless also. But
wonderful. I think that's the word you were trying to say.
No, he's garbage. But I just have that like that. Oh, there's something about that administrative, like the bureaucratic administrative thing that just like it's so off-putting to my personality type that I just can't deal with it. Right? Like I said, our old superintendent used to do all this stuff, and it was very kind of corporate centric stuff for a staff meeting in a school. It's kind of weird, right? He has his favorite thing in the world was this stupid chart. He calls it's the plus delta chart. Like, we're going to talk about our plus deltas now. Like, what? Why would you do that?
Yep.
What the heck is this? I hate this thing. Get it out of here. And our current superintendent, the new one, she kept it at least for the beginning of this year. So when I thought that he was gone, that thing was gone forever. And she pulls out this sheet at our first staff meeting at the beginning of this last school year. I was like, no, it's still here. I never fill it out. Or I put just one thing on each one. Like, yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
I tried so hard to be nice whenever I found out the president of DHS used to be in the business field. He was like, well, I was in, this company for X amount of years. And because at the time, everyone in my group had already known where I stand and how I felt on the training and how, monotonous and dumb it was. But because they're like, oh, does anyone have any questions for the president? I was like, no, be nice. Still on the job. Because everyone asks questions. They're like, how do you feel about people? And it's like, oh, I feel very strongly about people. And blah. I'm like, no.
I think they're a great resource to explore. I mean,
welcome, people.
Conserve and grow. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, and then my group got picked. We had the DHS has a slogan, which I forgot. But they gave us letters and we had to go or they gave us words and we had to go put the words in a sentence by standing up. And I was just trying not to chew my piece of paper up. And I was like,
I don't like those team building group things. Those are not fun. I don't like those.
Yeah. So I was like, just let me do my job. Not with you people. Let me go deal with people who actually need it.
Right. Well, I think there's an overemphasis on this vague term of business minded, right? Because people seem to think that that model translates into other things, and it does not. It doesn't belong there. It doesn't belong in a school. The school's not a business.
We don't have widgets.
Yeah, we're not. We have no product.
Yeah,
and we're not producing. We're not consuming resources and producing stuff. It's not what's happening.
Yeah.
Right. So that model, that mindset doesn't really fit in that environment. And the same way with DHS, that's definitely not a business. No. So just because someone's a business person doesn't mean that they can lead in that environment. Right. Just because you're a man of business, to one big extreme, in my opinion, if you're a man of business, doesn't mean you can be the president. Jeez Louise, man. It doesn't have anything to do with that. You're not.
Well, yeah. And that's the department, okay, how do I go about running a business that does watershed conservation, but we're a nonprofit and we can't make any money and all of our funding actually comes from taxpayers?
Yeah.
Tell me how to run that as a business.
It's not a business. You can't do it.
And yet they're like, well, we need to define our values. And here's the other things they're trying to do. They have a culture committee to figure out what the culture of the department is. I'm like, again, I go, why? Why? Is that just so important people can sit on another committee?
Yes.
That doesn't tell me anything, right? That's not going to change. I'm afraid that what it's actually going to be is actually going to come out some very bad stuff, but whatever. It's just, I don't understand, when we think, again, it's their idea of what they think culture is going to be. They say they talk to people, but they don't. and they don't listen. They don't tell you. Here's the part of anytime you solicit for public feedback or feedback on anything, tell the other person what you're going to do with the feedback. Tell them how it's going to impact your decision or not, right? You need to tell them that, because otherwise you're leaving on false assumptions. If you say to somebody, hey, how's my work today? And they respond with, you're actually a terrible worker and I don't know why you're here. And you go, great, glad we talked. I really appreciate it. And you don't change a single thing. Don't ask for feedback next time.
That's the point, because you're not even listening.
Yeah,
it's like listening. A lot of times it is the illusion of caring. 100% right? What it is. Yes. It's because somebody told them along the way, you have to ask for feedback through this process. And they went, we have to ask for feedback along this process. Great. And they get all this information and they go, select all, delete. Okay. Now what were we doing on our path anyway? Right. Like that's anyway, back to what we were doing.
Right. Yeah, exactly. At no point have they said, oh, here's as specific as they've gotten. We look at your feedback and we take it into account when we are making decisions. How? How do you do that? You have to tell me how.
It was a weird at the beginning of this year, because we had a new superintendent. She sat us in and she had that. We had that, but we had that face to face. So it was kind of awkward, because I was like, well, she's like, well, what are some things that you think are good? And then she was like, what are some things you think were bad? And I really kind of held back a little bit, because I was like, yeah, I have a big list, but let's start here. Because I think that, like everybody else, I think we all have certain expectations of things, and then what we end up getting is like meh. So that's my biggest, I think that's like universal dilemma in many environments. But like,
oh yeah,
I didn't lead with that one. I said some other stuff, but like, that's always my big thing. It's like we get this big expectation build up, and then what we end up getting, and at the end is like meh. Here it is.
Yeah, like, I love getting the emails that say like, "Oh, we hear you and we understand your complaints." Because like I remember I was in a staff meeting on, I think it was like Zoom or something, and it was we're talking about like, all right, so our supervisor asked us like, all right, what do you need? Like, all right, we need access to scanners and printers and stuff, and we need, because we have to send a lot of medical requests. And and different referrals and stuff. And so it got so bad, I was taking a picture of paperwork and like attaching it to a Word document and emailing it to people. I'm like, hey, look, I don't have an office. I hope this works. And so
I can suggest to you, there are many scanner apps for your phone that actually take those pictures and convert them directly to PDFs. And then you just email them.
I can't download anything on my work phone, and I can't use my personal phone for anything.
They won't let you download stuff on your phone? Yeah, that's lame.
Yep,
well, then, they're getting pictures. So I submitted stuff to my university with pictures from my phone, so it's fine. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Oh, because like I would like just literally take a picture of it and then email it to myself and then convert it into PDF and be like, well, hope this works.
Gotta be good enough.
I got an email, and it's like, we hear your voices and we are working together to strive and progress towards this difficult times. So after hearing your complaints, we have now decided to give Oklahoma County or like, it was like one of the Oklahoma City districts. Like, we're giving them 2 new vehicles. I was like, that's not so, because like we have, like I said, we have 4 vans for the entire county of Osage, and we have like 30 workers. Like, what do you like? That's cool, but how is this going to fix me? Because I got a call from the other day from a hospital. They're like, I mean, we can kind of use this. We prefer you scan it. I'm like, look, I can't help you. Sorry, that's all the best I can do. And see, I've never thrown anything, but I just wanted to chuck my laptop when I got that email.
Listeners, for reference, I also just looked it up. Osage County, 2,300 square miles. Kaboom.
Yeah. It takes me a good hour to get to my office from where I live. and then it takes me another hour to get to 2 of the closest towns to me where I live. So just put that into perspective of, oh hey, I got to go out there. Oh, let me take a picture of this on my phone. That'll help me. I'm fine. I'm fine. Where's my hat? And put my hat on.
Yeah, area 23,004 square miles. Excuse me. Population of 46,000 in the whole county.
It is one of the least densely populated in the state, but it's just, everything is so spread out.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Oh, fun bureaucracy bullcrap for sure. Yep. Yeah, that's like whenever this whole reorg started, people were complaining about chain of command and not getting consistency about messaging.
How often did you hear the term streamlined?
We have whole classes that you can take on the streamlining process.
Oh, ew!
You can get a white belt, a black, all the way up to a black belt. Yep. Called process improvement.
It sounds awful.
It's terrible.
Wow. It's so terrible.
It's awful.
This is why I don't. This is why people ask me all the time. They're like, "Hey, are you going to go to these like teacher like in-service training things?" Right? If a lot of the off-site ones that they're like, "Oh, go do that." It's that stuff. Yep. Like, well, I want to go to that. Like, I want to learn more about science.
Yeah.
I want to learn more about this. I don't want to learn about weird things like that. That doesn't help me teach anybody. Get out of here.
And I don't understand. Like, I don't know. I took one, and I walked away from it going, "What? What do you mean? What do you're trying to teach me about process improvement to make processes more efficient by taking up 90% of my time for who knows how long? Because apparently that's all the department has been doing for the past 5 years." I don't understand that. I don't understand. Like, well, here's what you write everything down that every single step in every hand that has to touch this document, and you write that out, and then you put them on a big board, and you see if you can line them up in a better way. Why?
That's just workflow.
Why don't I just?
It's a workflow chart.
Why don't I just do it? Why don't I? Like, I don't understand.
I just exactly
why do that? I don't understand. And I know the idea of like always be questioning, and anytime someone tells you this is how we do this process, ask why. That's a healthy thing to do. Unless neither of you are empowered to make any changes, then it's pointless.
Yeah.
Right?
But that workflow chart, that's from tech business. That's where that thing comes from. And that's definitely not applicable to like weird land claim stuff, paper documentation.
They were like bragging about how they used this process to come up with fuel cards for each truck. And I'm like,
what?
No, because it used to be.
You didn't. You just went, we're just going to assign a card to a truck.
Yeah.
Done.
You went, do people still do mileage logs for fleet vehicles? No. Oh, they use all cards? Sweet. We'll do that. Like this process, you didn't use this process for that.
Yeah. There's no way. How did you get? That doesn't make sense.
No, that's not what happened here. So stop lying. Stop it.
Yeah, it's definitely conflating some things to get there. Like, what?
Yeah, it's like, but each step along the way, people kept saying, well, the leadership, we don't have strong leaders. There's a problem there. And so they were like, oh, are you saying you don't like the structure?
No.
we were like, no, the structure won't change anything. It's the people. The people are the problem. And they went, oh, so what if we got regional work teams? And you're like, no. What are you doing? And you're like, yeah. And what if we made the really bad leaders like the ultimate leaders for each? Like, no. Why would you?
It clearly isn't the personnel; it's the structure that they're leading. Obviously,
because on, and I can see from over there, and I've talked to my supervisor about this. Like, I totally understand. They have to at the same time go, we have the best workforce on the face of the earth to manage this, manage our state's land. We do, while having to tacitly acknowledge that they have some pretty deadbeat people on the workforce that would be better off not employed with the department. Right?
Well, I don't think those two things. Yeah, I don't think you have to say we have the best workforce. I think it's much healthier to say we want the best workforce.
Oh no, they say we have the best workforce.
Oh yes, but what I'm saying is that I believe that's wrong.
Yes,
right. I believe that they should be saying we want the best workforce.
Oh yeah.
How do we make it better? Yep. Because I think it's definitely unhealthy to assume that what you have currently is the best iteration of the thing.
Yes.
Right. That's not how it's working. Just like
right.
Well, yes, exactly. Definitely including people. But I don't think you can just take what you have at face value and say this is the best iteration there is. Right.
Yep.
You have to say this is the current iteration.
Yeah, I think
how do we make it better? I think if you're not striving to make it better, then what are you doing?
Yeah, you're not fine. Like here's the thing that really needed to happen. Again, here's the wonderful. If everybody just did what I believed, things would be better. Which that doesn't work in the real world. But as someone who
it does. Haven't you watched the news? That's exactly how it works. That's what
we're not going there. Not going there. Anyway,
sorry.
Right. Like here's what needed to happen. They got a new director. She needed to come in and fire about 20 people and say, you have been poorly performing this entire time for all of your careers. Bye. And then put actual people in place and go, okay, is this better? Right? That would be the first step. Remove the leaders. Instead, what she did was she turned to the deadbeat leaders and went, how can we make this structure better? Basically, how can we make this structure better for you?
Yeah. How can we make you do less work?
That's 100%. Because they were like, we're streamlining from the top down to make the connection stronger. And basically what they were like, they really, at first we were like, oh man, they're going to get rid of middle management, those positions. That's not what they're called. They're not called middle managers, but that's just if you're thinking corporate, that's who they're getting rid of, right? No, they added. There's so many more layers between me and the director now. It's not even funny. And I don't understand how that makes anything better. They came up with some ridiculous thing of no one person should be supervising more than 5 people. Like 5 to 10 people was the maximum number that any one person could supervise, so that you could get more mentoring. And I was like, I thought we were looking for consistency of message. You're adding more people. It's a game of telephone. You're increasing the number of chains in the game of telephone now.
Yeah, no, that's not. If you're going to have mentors, you have a person whose job it is to be, to mentor and help with coaching. Yeah. Right. We call them in the teaching world, they're called instructional coaches.
Sure.
That's their job. Their job is to, usually in small schools like mine, they also teach classes, right? They also have class load, but their other job is to come and see you. Talk about how you're doing. How is your planning looking? How is it going? How are you doing personally? Blah, blah, blah. Their job is to kind of be that person that helps you do your job better. They're not just random person that teaches nearby, right? That's what it sounds like that they did your department. It's actually a person whose dedicated job it is to come and visit you while you're working and just kind of see how you're doing. Suggest other options oh, hey, have you tried this? Hey, you could do that. Hey, what about this? To help make your life better.
Yeah.
It's they're a coaching position, not just a random.
No, they're looking to the supervisors and going, and you guys are mentors now. And I'm like, no.
That's not a supervisor's job. They have to do other things.
They're to supervise me in my current job. Right?
Yeah.
That's what they're okay, whatever. Cool. Awesome. Good job, guys. Yeah. So the end result, I'm just like, this is awful. It's really bad. It's real bad. Anyway, on that, any funny note we can end on? Because it's getting late. End on someone say something funny.
Got nothing.
No.
Well, I will say into further detail. So this weekend for Father's Day, I took Shelby down, and Shelby got to meet Papa and Brandon and Susan.
Yes, tell her I apologize.
For everything.
Okay.
Just for myself in general.
We were sitting there and we went to breakfast in Marshfield because that's what we do. And because that's what Dad does. Sorry. It's like, you guys want breakfast? 30 minutes later. And then so Shelby brought up the point. It's like, hey, isn't Laura Ingalls Wilder house in Missouri? And I was like, oh, that's probably like a few hours away. And Dad's like, no, that's in Mansfield. That's like 20 minutes away.
Definitely not 20 minutes away.
It's like, from Marshfield, it's like 20, 30 minutes away. And so like we drove to Mansfield and spent the rest of the day in the Laura Ingalls Wilder History Museum and home.
Yeah.
In which my girlfriend of 6 months said the quote, and she's not in the room, but she can probably hear me, and she'll probably murder me the moment I get done with the podcast. She's like, it would be so cool to LARP the 1800s. I was like, huh? Like,
Now.
it'd be cool to LARP the 1800s. And I was like, I don't know if LARP is the right word, but
I mean, it isn't, but I understand what she's going for. So, some advice, Shelby, free advice. Here we go. First of all, you need to zero in on a particular time period of the 1800s because the fashion changed.
Terrible.
The fashion changed dramatically through each decade of the time, right? So, you got to find a time. Second of all, there are people I know that I have seen them online and stuff, and they just do that. They just dress that way every day. That's how they go to work.
So
they just dress like it's 1820. They just like go for it.
We found these. Oh, I can't remember the names, but we found these vloggers on YouTube that are like, "Well, it's time for me to wake up at 4 a.m. to go turn butter," and then like it talks about like them in the process of like dressing in the time period.
Yeah,
and I was just like fascinated with it. But that then brought me up to, do we need to make a road trip to Lincoln Land in Illinois?
I mean, you could probably go somewhere closer to find a bonnet.
Park? No. That's cooler.
It's okay.
But so to encompass a conclusion, Dad wants to make a trip up to Illinois sometime, and we need to make a stop in New Salem State Park.
Oh dear. Well, there is a plague on, so I don't know when that will happen.
Well, after plagues.
Aaron's flying across the country. He doesn't care about that.
That's true.
Alabama's like 2 states away.
It's much more than 2. We got to get this counting thing going
Alabama's
on here.
Alabama's not real. Listen, listeners. Trees in Alabama and Emu Wars. Those are the only things you need to take away from this podcast.
Oh dear goodness. I just now want to know. I want Shelby to do some research. I want to know what specific 1800s time period she wants to just start dressing as. I'm curious. I want to know 1840s, 1870s, like Victorian, like frontier,
I think that's what she's interested in. But I'm currently reading a book of the Civil War, so probably not this time. But I will get back to at a later date. Whenever
I just want to know.
We got a 4-hour. We have a 4-hour layover in Dallas. I'm sure.
There you go. You do. I want to. And you need to probe the depths here. I'm curious about what full report on actual time period, more specific time period, and perhaps style ? Of dress that she is interested in pursuing, because I think this is going to be fascinating. Right.
I will inquire.
All right.
And discuss at a later date.
Yeah. Because there's a big difference between like 1860s frontier versus 1860s like London. Right. Boom. Like big deal. Yeah. So let's see. And we'll try. Yes. There we go. So boom. There we go.
Okay. That'll be the next. That'll be the second.
Yeah. And I also want to know what historical time period Collin wants to cosplay in. That's the second.
Oh no, our cosplay. Okay. Challenge is cosplay challenge. Oh, no. Very bad. Okay, well, I got some homework to do.
There we go.
Guys.
Perfect.
Well, guys, have a good evening.
I gotta get up early tomorrow.
You too.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Love
Love you guys.
Love you too.
Bye.
Love you too. Bye.